Single mom's incredible blind date transformation. Covered in mud, she revealed an amazing heart. Emma stood in the mirror, taking a deep breath as she tried to muster the courage for her blind date. At 32, as a single mother of two, the idea of dating felt like an epic adventure. She'd been through the ringer, juggling her kids' needs with a part-time job that barely made ends meet. The promise of companionship and understanding made her heart race, yet the thought of stepping into the world of online dating was utterly daunting. But here she was, a fierce determination in her eyes, fueled by her best friend's insistence that she needed to open her heart again. As she pulled her hair into an effortless ponytail, images of a better life danced in her mind. Meeting someone who could appreciate not only her struggles but support her dreams felt like the glimmer of hope she desperately needed. Little did she know that this date was about to take an unexpected turn. The rain began pouring as Emma drove to the park. Dark clouds rolled in, thunder rumbled ominously above. She pulled up, the familiar park entrance drenched in water, turning the once beautiful venue into a muddy disaster. Even before stepping out of the car, a tight knot of anxiety twisted in her chest. This was not how she envisioned her big night. With each step towards the meeting spot, the ground squelched beneath her feet. She glanced down and felt a rush of panic. Suddenly, her shoe slipped, and before she knew it, she was sprawled out on her back, covered in deep, gooey mud. Mortification washed over her. "Oh great! Just perfect," she groaned, contemplating a hasty retreat. That's when she saw him. Tom, tall and rugged, approached with concern etched across his face. "Hey, you okay?" His voice was warm, and before she could even lift herself up, he extended a hand, helping her to her feet with a gentle strength that surprised her. As she stood there, muddy and embarrassed, something stirred within her. This man, far from desiring perfection, had compassion as he chuckled softly, easing the tension. "It looks like we both had a rough start," he said with a twinkle in his eye. The moment shifted, the humor transformed their embarrassment into shared vulnerability. As they talked, the rain poured harder, but neither paid it any mind. Tom spoke of his struggles as a veteran, his voice steady but revealing layers of pain. Emma opened up about the challenges of being a single mother, the exhaustion mingled with fierce love for her kids. For the first time in ages, Emma felt seen. Before they even realized, the conversation flowed like a comforting river. He surprised her with a small, thoughtful gesture, a hand-carved keychain of a heart shaped like a family. "I know you're doing it tough," he said softly. Tears pricked at Emma's eyes. It was a simple token, yet it represented something profound, validating her struggles. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Yet, as the night unfolded, a phone call shattered the moment. Emma's son's school had called with alarming news. The weight of her responsibilities clutched at her heart, creating a tremor of doubt. There in the muddy park, a flicker of what could be with Tom danced enticingly, but the frantic need of her children tugged her back. Emma stood frozen, amid swirling emotions of hope and fear, wondering if she could really choose both love and the role of a devoted mother. Emma's heart raced as she listened to the school's frantic message. "Mom, it's important. Please call us back." The urgency echoed in her mind, mixing with the thrill of her connection with Tom. She felt utterly torn. This was supposed to be her night, her chance to find joy, maybe even love. But her children came first, always. "Everything okay?" Tom asked, concern lacing his voice as he watched the color drain from her face. It's my kids, I should really." Emma trailed off, her voice shaky. The promise of companionship felt fragile now, like a delicate glass ready to shatter. Before she could delve into her thoughts, Tom reached for her hand. "Hey, I get it. Family is everything." His eyes held understanding, yet a flicker of disappointment lingered in the air. "I'm sorry, I know we were just starting to connect," Emma said, wrestling with tears that threatened to spill. "But I need to go." "No, wait," he said, quickening his pace to keep up with her. "Let us think this through. How about I drive you? I want to make sure everything is all right." The kindness in his voice wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. Emma hesitated, guilt flooding her thoughts. Should she bring him into her chaotic world? Seconds felt like hours as the weight of her choices threatened to crush her spirit. Was it selfish to allow herself a moment of joy, even if just a few more minutes with him? She began, but the words faltered as she caught his steady gaze. "You'd do that?" "Absolutely. I believe in showing up for the people that matter." The sincerity in Tom's voice made her heart skip, igniting a spark of hope. Perhaps this man who seemed to genuinely care was someone who could understand the messiness of life. With a deep breath, Emma nodded. "Okay, let us go." As they walked toward the car, the rain began to lessen. The storm that had threatened to ruin her evening seemed to ease, and with it, her anxiety shifted. Both of them squeezed into the front seat. The moment felt intimate, yet charged with unpredictability. They shared smiles, knowing they were both enmeshed in deep emotional currents. "Is there anything you want to tell me before we head to the school?" Tom asked gently, his voice inviting her to open up. Emma hesitated, grateful for his patience. "They called to say my son got into trouble at school. He's been struggling a lot lately." Tears brimmed at her eyes, a mix of frustration and love. "I just want to protect him." "I understand," Tom replied softly. "It's hard when you feel responsible for so much. But you're doing your best. That counts for a lot." She felt a swell of gratitude. In just a few moments, Tom had helped her realize that while her children needed her, she wasn't alone. She deserved kindness and understanding too. Just as she gathered the courage to share more, the phone rang again, this time vibrating intensely in her pocket. She glanced at the screen and felt the blood drain from her face. It was the principal calling. The dreadful knot in her stomach returned. Taking a deep breath, she answered. "Hello? Emma, it's urgent." Her heart sank. She felt trapped between two worlds, the chaos of motherhood and the promise of connection with Tom. What would unravel next? Emma's thoughts raced as she tried to navigate what lay ahead. Would she choose to confront the storm waiting for her at school or embrace this budding relationship with Tom? The dilemma loomed large in her heart, leaving her breathless. "Emma." Tom's voice cut through her thoughts and the weight of the situation hung thick, demanding resolution. What was she going to decide? Would her fear extinguish the flicker of hope that had just ignited? Emma's eyes darted between the phone and Tom, who was watching her with a mix of concern and encouragement. The principal's voice continued to invade her thoughts, each word tightening the knot in her stomach. "You need to come in immediately," he insisted, urgency dripping from every syllable. "What does that even mean?" she muttered, her fingers gripping the phone tightly. The weight of expectation and fear from the school was palpable, merging with her desire to be present with Tom. "Emma," Tom spoke softly, breaking through her haze. "You should take a moment. What's going on?" She inhaled deeply, the beads of sweat forming on her brow from the worry pressing down on her. I think something bad happened with my son. I just don't know what." "We'll figure it out," Tom reassured, his voice grounding her. "Just breathe." "What did the principal say exactly?" Emma relayed what little she had gleaned, her fear spilling out in shaky words. "They didn't give me details. Just said it was urgent." "What if he's hurt, or worse?" The worry in her chest escalated, threatening to swallow her whole. Tom's hand rested over hers, the warmth steadying her as they sat engulfed in the dim light of the car, rain now just a distant drizzle. In that moment, her fear felt a bit lighter, as if knowledge was the first step toward resolution. "Shall we go?" he asked, a soft invitation rather than a command. "Let us get your son, and then we'll figure out if he needs you more right now or if you can take a moment with me. Either way, you've got this." Emma nodded, overwhelmed yet resolute. "Yes, let us, just go." They pulled out of the parking lot, the school looming closer with every passing moment. Emma found herself grappling with the tension between her responsibilities as a mother and the spark she felt with Tom. It felt as if the world was pressing closer on her shoulders, yet Tom's presence made it feel manageable, somehow lighter. As they arrived at the school, the atmosphere shifted. The building stood dark against the clearing sky, a stark contrast to the storm that had just passed. Emma's heart raced as they navigated through the empty hallways towards the principal's office. Every silent step echoed the fear that coursed through her veins. The principal was waiting for her, his expression grave as he motioned for her to sit. "Emma, I need to tell you about what happened with Jake." Tom did not leave her side, standing just outside the door, offering unspoken support. Emma felt the weight of the situation settle heavily on her chest. "Your son was involved in an incident during gym class," the principal began, his voice steady but firm. "There was a confrontation with another student. They were wrestling, and it escalated. Jake doesn't have any visible injuries, but the fear in Emma's heart twisted as she absorbed the details. Confrontation? Wrestling? But what? You have to help me understand. What did he do?" There were words exchanged. "We need to discuss why this happened. It's important you know he has been struggling with his emotions and decision-making." Emma blinked back tears. Her sweet boy had been fighting a battle, and she hadn't seen it. And yet, here she was, forced into a confrontation that felt unbearable. Tom leaned closer, his concern evident as he whispered, "You're okay, Emma. You're doing the right thing by being here. Focus on Jake." "Thank you," she whispered, though anxiety gnawed at her heart. The principal continued, but all she could focus on was Tom, his assurance giving her strength she didn't know she had. When the meeting ended, Emma felt both raw and revived. It became clearer that her role as a mom was intertwined with seeking support, not just for Jake but for herself too. As they exited the office, the quiet hum of school life buzzed around them, children's laughter filtering through the corridors. Emma looked at Tom, her heart caught between relief and dread. "I just didn't think it would come to this," she said quietly, her voice trembling. He paused, his eyes softening. "What do you need right now?" She sighed, heart racing. Emotions swirling. "I need to be there for him." But before she could finish, the school doors swung open and a flurry of students rushed past them, laughter echoing as they shared stories of their day. Emma caught a glimpse of her son, Jake, his face flushed and filled with confusion. "Mom!" he called, and her heart immediately leaped. As she prepared to face him, she felt Tom's presence beside her, solid and unwavering. Would she be able to navigate this new challenge? Could embracing her chaotic world and sharing her burden with Tom lead to deeper connections? With uncertainty ahead, Emma stepped forward, ready to confront not just Jake, but the growing complexity of her own emotions. What would happen when she finally spoke to her son? Would they emerge from this stronger than before? The answers awaited just beyond the doors, and she felt both the weight of apprehension and the light of hope for what lay ahead. Emma stood in the doorway, her heart pounding as she searched for Jake among the crowd of children. The noise swelled around her, laughter mingling with shouts, the energy of youth surrounding her like a whirlwind. And yet, through it all, her eyes settled on him, her son. He was standing a few feet away, his body tense, glancing around as if he were lost in a sea of unfamiliar faces. "Mom!" he shouted again, this time his tone desperate. Emma felt a wave of relief, quickly punctuated by a deep pang of worry. She rushed toward him, closing the gap with each hurried step. When she reached him, she enveloped him in her arms, relief flooding her senses. "Jake! Are you okay?" The softness in her voice didn't quite mask the urgency behind it. She needed him to be okay. "Yeah, I'm fine, I think." His arms surrounded her, but she could feel the hesitation in his embrace. He stepped back, and his eyes darted over her shoulder as if he expected someone else to intervene. This wasn't the confident, playful boy she knew, this was a child caught in a moment of crisis. "What happened?" she asked, scanning his face for clues, desperately wanting to pull out more than just surface-level responses. Jake's gaze dropped to the floor. I didn't mean to." His voice trailed off, guilt painting his cheeks a deep shade of red. "Sweetheart, tell me what happened during gym class," Emma urged, her heart aching for his looming shame. "I lost my temper," he mumbled, the words barely escaping his lips. I just wanted to show him I could fight back, but it got out of control." Tom, lingering nearby, stepped forward. "It's okay, buddy. Everyone makes mistakes," he said, his tone gentle but firm. The way he spoke made Emma feel even more grateful for his presence. "He's right, Jake," Emma said, her pulse settling slightly as she saw her son's armor begin to crack. "You're still figuring things out. We can work through this together." Jake met her gaze, uncertainty mixed with gratitude. "But what if they think I'm bad? What if I get in trouble?" His voice cracked, revealing the underlying fear of judgment creeping into his young heart. "No one thinks you're bad, babe," Emma reassured him, her own heart heavy with the weight of his feelings. "It's about learning to communicate how you feel, and you showed you can acknowledge when things have gone too far." Tom chimed in again, wanting to provide support. "This is an important lesson, Jake. You can channel that energy into something positive. Let us talk about ways you can handle things differently next time, all right?" Jake nodded slowly, his expression softening. A flicker of hope crossed his face, and Emma felt a shimmer of pride for the resolve she saw there. "Let us get out of here, okay? Grab some ice cream? We can talk more on the way," Emma suggested, trying to lighten the mood. His eyes lit up, even if just a little. "Can I get sprinkles?" "Of course." She laughed, heart lifting at his quick shift in mood. But just as she felt a moment of triumph, the thought of their current circumstances and her own swirling emotions pulled at her. Would this be enough? As they turned to leave, Tom walking beside them, Emma experienced a wave of anxiety return. Could this one moment define what she and Jake would overcome together, or were deeper issues lurking just under the surface? Suddenly, she paused, feeling the weight of her situation crash back down. "Tom," she said quietly, her voice trembling just slightly, "do you really think we can get through this?" Before he could respond, a sudden shout erupted from a group of students behind them. Emma instinctively turned, half expecting chaos to unfold. Watching their laughter, she remembered what life was like before everything became so complicated. "Hey, Jake! Want to join us for a game?" one kid called out. Emma studied Jake's face, hoping he would feel brave enough to join. Would he take this chance to connect with his peers again? As he looked back at her, Emma noticed the uncertainty on his face, and her heart ached. She wanted to encourage him but feared the risks that came with stepping out of his shell. "Mom, can I?" he asked, glancing between the group and her, and in that moment, the stakes felt incredibly high. "Of course you can, but we'll need to discuss some things later about what happened today," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Jake hesitated, glancing back at the other kids, then back to her, searching for guidance. Could this be their turning point? Or would it lead to more turmoil? The choice was his, and as he took a step toward the group, she felt the tension transform into a fragile thread of hope, knowing whatever happened next wouldn't just define Jake but her journey as well. What awaited them on this intricate path ahead? Would each choice lead to healing or yet another challenge? Emma clasped Tom's hand tight, bracing for what would come next. Jake shifted nervously on his feet, the laughter from the group pulling him like a magnet. Emma watched as he looked back and forth between her and the kids, gauging where he felt safer. Her heart raced, she could sense the weight of his decision. She wanted him to play, to unwind, to return to that bubbly version of himself, but the fear of the unknown loomed large. "Go on, buddy," Tom encouraged, nudging Jake gently. "They're waiting for you." It was a simple push, but it felt monumental. After a long moment, Jake smiled shyly, that familiar glimmer of courage sparking in his eyes. "Okay," he said softly, stepping toward the pack. Emma breathed a sigh of relief, her heart swelling with pride. But the pride quickly mingled with an ache of unease. She stayed put, watching Jake run into the vibrant chaos of children, darting into a game of tag. Laughter erupted, a chorus of wild joy that filled the air, each shriek a reminder of the innocence she hoped to protect amidst the challenges they faced. Tom moved to her side, watching Jake with her. "He'll be all right," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. "Do you really think so?" Emma asked, biting her lip. "What if he struggles to integrate? What if it all comes crashing back again?" "Those are valid worries," Tom replied gently, "but right now, he's in a safe space. Trust him to handle it, and trust yourself to guide him." She nodded, though doubt still tangled in her mind. It was hard to silence the anxious whispers that told her she wasn't doing a good enough job as a mom. But watching Jake dart around, laughter spilling from his lips, she decided it was time to try to let go. Even for a moment. "Okay," she said, taking a deep breath. "I'm going to enjoy this." As she leaned against a nearby tree, the warmth of the sun against her skin, Emma felt the weight of her worries begin to lift. There was a delicate beauty in the moment. Jake was learning and growing, just as she was. "Hey, Emma," Tom said suddenly, breaking her reverie. "You all right? You look deep in thought." "Just thinking," she replied, a smile dancing on her lips. "About how life has shifted so much. One moment, it feels like a delicate balance, and the next, she trailed off, searching for the right words. It just moves forward. Life keeps pushing us," Tom said, his voice warm. "And look at us, thriving amid the mess." Emma chuckled softly, feeling lighter and less marooned. "You're right. Sometimes we do need to embrace the chaos." Just then, she noticed kids cheerfully gathering around Jake, embracing him in a game of tag. They were pulling him deeper into their circle, their trust in him saturating the air. The relief coursed through her, followed by a renewed sense of her own capability to adapt. "Maybe I could handle a little chaos, too," she mused aloud, a hint of challenge in her tone. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Tom asked, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Maybe it's time to embrace more than just ice cream runs," she replied, a hint of mischief lighting up her eyes, the remnants of tension easing as excitement mounted. As if in answer to her inner workings, a nearby child shouted, "Hey Emma! Do you want to play with us?" "Me? Play?" she exclaimed, caught off guard. An instant flash of hesitation gripped her. What would she look like jumping around with a bunch of kids? Before she could talk herself out of it, Jake turned toward her, his eyes wide with hope. "Come on, Mom. It'll be fun." At that moment, Emma felt an impulse, a tugging at her heart. These days had been hard, but maybe, just maybe, it was time for a little fun, a little freedom, a little mud. "Okay." She called out, laughing, as she ran to join them, her heart racing not with worry but with anticipation. But as she lunged into the crowd of kids, splashes of laughter surrounding her, would this moment of abandoned joy come at a price she hadn't foreseen? Jake looked back at her, eyes sparkling. Was it the start of something new or just a beautiful illusion in their journey? Emma couldn't know for sure as she leaped into the fray. Would they find healing in this playful chaos, or would new challenges arise, unforeseen like the mud that now clung to her shoes? Emma barely registered the joyous chaos enveloping her as she dove into the game. Laughter echoed, the sounds of little feet padding against the grass punctuating the air. But within that whirl of motion, something shifted. She felt a little weight drop from her shoulders, anxiety evaporating, like mist in the sun. "Tag, you're it!" shouted a child, and before Emma knew it, she was in the middle of a wild chase, zigzagging through giggling children. She found herself surprised by her laughter, turning breathless and free as she darted around, arms flailing in delight. Jake's face beamed, filled with a joy she hadn't seen in a while. He caught her gaze across the field and beamed, as if saying, "Look at us." It was infectious. The shouts and cheers wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Emma shifted her focus from the insecurities that had been holding her hostage to the exhilaration bubbling inside her. With every dart and dive, she felt the shadows of yesterday recede. She wasn't just a worried mother, she was a participant in joy. "Hey! Watch out!" one kid yelled, crashing into her as he made his escape from Jake. Emma fell back, landing with a soft thump in a patch of mud. Her laughter erupted again, this one more genuine, more freeing. She looked down at her muddy clothes, shaking her head in disbelief. "Well, this is a new look," she hollered playfully, raising her hands in mock surrender. Jake raced over, his young face knotted with concern. "Mom!" he exclaimed, "are you okay?" "I'm more than okay," she smiled, pulling herself up and slinging mud from her hands, the chaos around her fading into a comforting hum. In that instant, she saw the world through Jake's eyes, a place filled with unfiltered joy, where splashes of mud weren't failures, but marks of adventure. "Good," Jake said, snickering as he reached for her hand. "You look awesome. Just like a warrior." Emma's heart swelled. Maybe they were both warriors, battling their fears in this small but significant moment. The heaviness she'd felt earlier lifted, replaced by an invigorating rush of energy and possibility. "Okay, wise guy," she laughed, "let us show them what warrior moms can do." With renewed energy, she chased Jake, who sprinted away with peals of laughter. They were soon a whirlwind of muddy clothes and bright, carefree laughter, the worries of days gone by suspended in the joy of the present. It was as if the universe had conspired for them to be there, playing in the mud, trading their burdens for bliss. But just as Emma began to revel in the liberating spirit, a figure appeared at the edge of the field. A man stood watching, eyebrows raised, wearing a bewildered expression. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Who was that, and why did he look so shocked? As she paused, staring back at him, a million thoughts raced through her mind. Was he judging her? Had he caught her without her carefully constructed armor? Before she could react, Jake called out, "Mom! Look! It's Daddy!" Her heart dropped at his words. She hadn't anticipated the emotions surging through her. The reality of having to face Jake's father brought back an echo of doubt, like a wave crashing down when she thought she'd found solid ground. As she stood with mud on her face and laughter still in her heart, the question loomed, how would this encounter unfold? Would this be a moment of repair or fracture, joy or sorrow? Emma took a deep breath, ready to step into the unknown. Emma felt her heart race as Jake's innocent shout cut through the laughter around her. His excitement blurred the lines between past and present, and she was left standing there, coat stained and footwear squelching, facing an unexpected reality. The figure hadn't moved, he was still watching, seemingly frozen in time. "Daddy?" she echoed softly, the word tasting foreign on her tongue. It had been so long since she engaged with him in any casual, familiar manner. She glanced at Jake, who was bouncing on the balls of his feet, eagerly waiting for the reunion he had imagined in his youthful enthusiasm. Would it actually feel like a reunion, she wondered? Or a reckoning? Emma, Jake's father finally spoke, his voice hesitant, eyes darting to the mud-caked battleground that had become a stage for children's carefree joy. I didn't expect to see you here. Clearly, neither did I, she replied, keeping her tone light despite the weight settling in her chest. She studied him for a moment, taking in the familiar features of his face now edged with maturity and uncertainty. He looked different, but some things, like the furrow between his brows or the way his hand scrubbed the back of his neck, stayed unchanged. Jake giggled, tugging at his dad's pant leg, and breaking the tension. Look at Mom. She's a warrior. It was innocent and delightful, and at that moment, it lightened the air, a glimmer amid the awkwardness. A flicker of a smile teased the corners of Emma's lips as she caught Jake's unfiltered joy. Wow, I see the warrior spirit is strong. He chuckled back, the warmth of old memories momentarily unfurling the tension that had built like a caffeinated storm. But within the confines of her heart, the fury and sadness of things left unsaid gripped her tighter. What brought you here? Was the only thing she could summon, a simple question that carried the weight of 1,000 conversations they had never had. I thought I'd check in on Jake, see how he's doing, he replied, eyes shifting from the whirlwind of children back to her, seeking connection while simultaneously building walls. And, I guess I didn't expect to see you like this. Neither did I, Emma stated, picking mud from her hands as if it would distract her from the swirl of emotions clawing for her attention. But it's refreshing to just be. He scanned the field where laughter spilled like a bright river, and Emma could almost see comprehension rise in his eyes. I see that. He's having fun. You both look free. Yeah, she sighed, glancing back at Jake, who was blissfully unaware of the adult conversation unfolding. We're working on it. Silence lingered between them, thick yet filled with unspoken hope. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this was a crossroads, a vital moment where they might decide on a direction going forward. Did she want to invite him into their lives again, into this newfound joy that she desperately hoped to cling to? Listen, Emma, he started again, his voice steady yet softer this time. I know things weren't great between us. But maybe we could talk sometime? Figure things out. The sincerity in his voice echoed through her like a gentle nudge, as if he were testing the waters of possibility. In that moment, Jake came running back to them, muddy and breathless, with an explosion of joy. Mom! Can you help me catch the others? We need more warriors. Their eyes met, and Emma felt the weight of the world lift just a little. But she was at a precipice, teetering between the past and what lay ahead. Can you give me a minute? She asked, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. He nodded, a hint of understanding in his gaze as she turned back to her son, knowing that whatever came next would shape their future in ways she couldn't yet fathom. Let us show them what warriors can really do. She shouted, determination rekindled. But as they dashed off, the question lingered in her mind like a ghost. Was she ready to heal the wounds while still wearing the muddy armor of her messy past? The potential for something new beckoned, but so did the fear of facing the truth. What would she discover next, standing on this shaky ground? As Emma sprinted after Jake, laughter bubbled up from within her, easing the tension that had settled so heavily moments before. You can't catch them without your magical mom powers, she called, matching Jake's infectious enthusiasm. Here, among the chaos of joyful screams and splashes of mud, the shadows of their past seemed to dissolve, at least temporarily. Jake darted towards a group of children engaged in a pretend battle, their voices rising like a choir of imagination. She felt a sense of warmth as she observed him, so alive and joyful. Yet, even with Jake's laughter ringing like bells, the conversation with his father crept back into her mind. The thought of reconnecting nagged like a persistent itch. Was it possible to rewrite their story? To build from the ruins they had left behind? She let out a playful shout, bringing her focus back to the game. Prepare to be defeated, tiny warriors. She charged after Jake, arms outstretched like a superhero, sensing that laughter held more power than any unresolved issues. As moments of carefree joy passed, she caught sight of Jake looking back at her, a big grin plastered across his muddy face. But something in her heart was still toying with an emotional tug-of-war. Just then, she spotted Jake's father standing at the edge of the field, hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets, watching them. A sense of anxiety crept in. She couldn't shake off the feeling he was watching every move she made, studying her. She turned her eyes back to Jake, who was now intently focused on leading his tiny brigade. They were all making grand noises as they pretended to march onward, and it sent a fondness bubbling to the surface. Would she dare to let someone else in on this joy? Was her heart brave enough to risk getting hurt again? "Mom! Look out!" Jake yelled suddenly, breaking through her thoughts. In an instant, the other kids rushed toward her with handfuls of mud, weapons of laughter drawn from their carefree hearts. She had moments to react. Running was not an option. Instead, she dove into the chaos, arms wide open, embracing the messy, muddy onslaught. The giggles were contagious, and she couldn't help but laugh along with them. Their shrieks of delight echoed into the air, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. The moment held a magic as vivid as the colors of the day, washing away the heaviness. In that playful battle, she felt lighter, as if the burdens she had been carrying were slipping through her fingers into the mud. As they took a break, Jake crawled next to her, both of them panting and covered in dirt. "Warriors need to refuel," he declared, wiping his forehead exaggeratedly. Emma chuckled and pulled out a small snack from her bag. "Popcorn, the snack of champions." She laughed, sharing the treats with the muddy brigade. They all clustered around her as if partaking in an ancient ritual, where sustenance came from a mother's love. In that moment, wrapped within their circle of laughter, the hesitation she felt earlier began to fade. Perhaps stepping forward with Jake's father didn't mean erasing the past, but finding a way to build something new. A thought flashed: could he be part of this smile? Just then, amidst the joyful chaos, she noticed Jake's father approaching the group, his expression softer than before. Emma's heart raced. Would this encounter be a trampling of old fears or the beginning of something fresh? "Hey, can I join the champions?" he asked, a hint of nervousness laced in his voice. Jake nodded vigorously, and Emma felt her breath hitch. A battle was approaching, one of vulnerability, hope, and potential renewal. "Of course," she replied, shielding her anxiety with a feigned bravado. But as she smiled brightly at him and watched Jake beam with excitement, she realized that deep down, she was ready to discover what this next chapter could hold. And as he lowered himself to their muddy level, she couldn't help but wonder, was this the start of not just a new connection for Jake, but a potential healing for them all? A warm breeze swept across the field, carrying with it the sweet scent of grass and the distant laughter of kids at play. Emma felt her heart fluttering, a mix of nervousness and excitement swelling within her as Jake's father settled in the mud beside them. There was something about seeing him there, low to the ground, embracing the joy around him, that sent a ripple of hope through her. "Just don't throw mud on me," he joked, raising his hands in mock surrender, but Emma could see that he was genuinely trying to connect. Jake, his excitement barely containable, immediately began explaining the rules of their imaginary war. "This is the best part," he exclaimed, eyes shining. "We need a strategy, and you, Mr. Reed, are the commander." "Right, Mom?" Emma's heart skipped a beat at Jake's bright words, and she cast a glance at Mr. Reed. She needed him to be more than just Jake's father today. They both needed to be human in this game. "A commander, huh? Sounds like a heavy title," she said light-heartedly, masking her own apprehensions with humor. "It takes a strong leader to keep the troops in line," he replied, a smile breaking through his initial nervousness. He was trying, really trying, and while Emma was still wary of the emotional peaks and valleys ahead, she felt a little of the tension ease. Maybe today was different. With renewed energy, they dove into the battle, throwing mud and laughter at one another like confetti. Emma watched Jake dart between them, a blur of joy, and she felt her own childlike spirit emerge from its hiding place. Each splash of mud that hit her, each shriek of laughter from the kids around her, pushed aside the concerns that had plagued her mind for weeks. Minutes turned into joyful hours. They crafted makeshift shields out of cardboard and rallied to conquer new territories on the field, the game evolving with every passing moment. Emma glanced at Mr. Reed, whose laughter was bright and genuine. She noticed how his warm eyes lit upon Jake, a look of sheer pride sweeping across his features. But just beneath the surface of this chaotic joy lurked remnants of doubt. What would happen when this day ended? Would the past come crashing back, fogging the air with resentment and fear? She wanted to push those concerns away, but they lingered like an unwanted shadow. As the sun began dipping lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the field, Jake finally called for a ceasefire. "Victory!" he shouted, raising his hands up high as the muddy warriors cheered. And in that moment, Emma caught Mr. Reed's gaze. It was an intense look that spoke of understanding, and perhaps a shared desire to move forward. "Can we do this again?" he asked gently, his voice earnest. It was an invitation, a simple question that held an innumerable amount of weight. Emma's heart raced. This was at the moment that could set the tone for everything to come. Could they really start anew? Could rebuilding the trust among them be possible? "Definitely," she replied, the word tumbling out with surprising ease. But as the two adults exchanged glances, she felt the air turn electric with the anticipation of something more than just play. Jake was eager, his expression brimming with excitement. "Yes. And I want to build a fort next time." As they packed up to leave, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that their journey had only just begun. The laughter and the mud had opened the door, but would both of them be brave enough to walk through it together? With Jake bouncing ahead and Mr. Reed walking alongside her, the sun dipped lower, casting a golden light over the path they took back home. Emma gazed at their silhouettes ahead, her stomach flipping with hope and uncertainty. How would they navigate the complicated waters ahead? And just as they reached the car, she asked herself, was it too soon to believe in this new beginning? Emma sat in the soft evening glow of her living room, watching as Jake settled into his favorite corner on the couch, a pouch of popcorn resting on his lap. They had just returned from an unexpectedly joyous day filled with laughter, mud, and a new kind of connection. She felt tired, yes, but it was a warm fatigue, the kind that curled around her heart like a gentle hug. "Can we go again tomorrow?" Jake's voice cut through the stillness, a hopeful plea that made Emma smile. "Why not? We can turn it into a weekend tradition," she replied, her heart lifting at the idea of sharing more moments like today. "But let us plan on bringing a picnic next time, too." The thrill in his eyes sparkled with delight. "Yeah. That'd be great." As she watched him munching away, Emma couldn't help but reflect on how dramatically her day had shifted. Just a few hours earlier, she had been a worried mom, navigating muddy waters both literally and figuratively. Now, she was firmly grounded, buoyed by the laughter that filled her home. But as her joy swelled, so did a familiar undercurrent of anxiety. The question of Jake's father lingered like an uninvited guest. Could this new, open-door relationship actually blossom into something substantial? Could they really step forward together and redefine their family? She picked up her phone, wanting to brush aside the doubts. But instead, an image of today flashed across her mind, Jake's father, face lit with laughter, partaking in kid-sized chaos. That moment of connection had felt genuine, a gentle reminder that they both held a piece of each other's lives, one that was never meant to be severed entirely. Taking a deep breath, Emma made a surprising choice. She scrolled through her contacts, hovering over his name for a moment. Then, with newfound courage sparking her heart, she hit call. With every ring, her anticipation grew, heart pounding. What would they talk about? Would he even want to reconnect? As the fourth ring echoed in her ear, she almost hung up, but then, a voice chimed through her phone. "Hey, Emma," he answered, surprise woven into his tone. "Hi," she said, feeling the pressure dissipate into the night. "I was just thinking about today, about how much fun we had." "Me too. I really didn't expect it to be so refreshing," he admitted, warmth in his voice. "Honestly, seeing you and Jake together made me realize how much I've missed out." Her heart sped up, a combination of fear and hope intertwining. "Maybe we could talk more about that? About moving forward?" Silence hung between them, but it wasn't heavy, it was expectant. "I'd like that. Really. I think it could be good for all of us if we take it slow," Emma suggested, the words escaping her lips cautiously. It was nearly impossible to silence the worries that nagged at her. Could she trust him enough? Could they create an environment of support for Jake? "Slow sounds perfect," he agreed. "I want to be there for Jake, and for you too. We can figure it out together." Laughter bubbled up in her throat, relieved that they were both willing to try. "All right then, let us set up a time." As they made plans to meet, Emma felt the delicate light of hope blossoming within her. She hadn't just taken a shot with her phone call, she'd taken a step toward a reimagined family. She would open the door to healing not just for Jake, but for herself too. When she hung up, Jake turned toward her, inquisitive. "Who was that?" "Just someone I'm going to talk to about our next adventure," Emma said, a soft smile lighting her face. "Can I help?" Jake asked, his chips all but forgotten. "You already are," she replied, her heart swelling with love for her son. "Just by being you." As Jake settled back in with his popcorn, his laughter and chatter filled the space around them, a musical backdrop of innocence and joy. Embracing it all, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were on the brink of a new chapter, a messy, imperfect, leap of faith toward healing and hope. In that moment, it didn't matter how stormy life had been or how many challenges still lay ahead. Emma felt a radiant conviction. Blooming. They navigated together. Tomorrow brought new adventures, and with every new adventure came the promise of starting again. Whatever the future held, she was ready to embrace it, mud, joy, and all. Now was the moment to push forward, to grab hold of life, and accept the tangled beauty of it all. Remember, life's twists and turns can lead to the most remarkable transformations. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.